The first divine service with masks in Germany after the relaxation of the measures took place in Cologne. But is it necessary to observe the ritual during periods of pandemic? The advice of the most famous living German philosopher. In Germany do not seem to be in a hurry to resume divine services in the presence of the crew. In many areas it would be possible to perform the divine service after the forced cessation due to the restrictive measures to deal with the pandemic of coronavirus. But many parishes seem hesitant. The first divine service was held yesterday in the Diocese of Rothenburg in Stuttgart. In the dioceses of Augsburg and Wtsz-Berg, at least until May 21, the sacrament of Holy Communion will not be performed. Meanwhile, some Christians have begun to wonder whether Divine Communion is not really so important and whether one could simply not commune in the future. However, things are clear. At the Second Vatican Council, 1962–65, the Catholic Church described divine thanksgiving as the source and supreme point of the Christian life. In every divine service, Jesus' Last Supper with his disciples is an important reminder. Divine Communion represents the body and blood of Christ. But if that is the case, then how can one interpret the words of Bishop Hildesheim Heiner Wilmer, who told German radio that by some believers divine thanksgiving is overrated, while on the prohibition of divine services at this time? He stressed that, "I do not feel restricted in my religious freedom." In addition, according to the specialized magazine Herder Correspondence, personal worship and divine services through teleconferences are sufficient for the faithful. The observance of the ritual is important. However, it is possible that the quintessence of Christianity may be affected by Habermas, a preeminent secular thinker who has resisted any religious primacy for decades, warns of the dangers of a possible mystery. In his latest work, published 6 months ago, the famous philosopher who taught at the University of Frankfurt and now in his 90s lives in Starnberg, Bavaria, writes that the ritual of the divine service plays an important role in the survival of religion, if not a catalytic role. Religious teaching is likely to survive only when practiced by the community in the ritual of the divine liturgy, that is, when it becomes an asset in the existential sense. Reason needs transcendence. According to Christian teaching, the ritual of divine thanksgiving is a connection between God and man. Habermas expresses concern that if this ritual is lost, an irreplaceable source of solidarity for society could be lost. In the last sentences of his work, 1752 pages, entitled Another History of Philosophy, he writes, "Indeed. That is why it is important, in his opinion, that religious experience can continue to be based on this ritual practice of realizing a strong transcendence."